The movie starts with a plane landing. Mathieu, among the passengers, calls his daughter Sarah. He tells her he can't wait to be home, and she excitedly urges him to hurry. Mathieu finally arrives home and shares a quick reunion with his wife, Anna, before turning his attention to their daughter, Sarah, who is overjoyed to see him. Sarah's life has been confined to a controlled, battery-powered bubble due to her condition. Mathieu brings her a gift from his trip to Canada, essences, and hidden beneath them, a video she can watch through virtual reality, offering her a glimpse of the world beyond her bubble. Mathieu talks with Anna, clearly troubled. He admits he didn't go to Marseille, but to Canada, where he found a new protocol that could help Sarah leave her bubble. However, it would mean moving there. Anna questions why they had never heard of it, and says Dr. Chabrier would have known. Mathieu argues that real progress is happening in Canada. Their conversation grows tense as Anna insists she has a life and home here, while Mathieu urges that one day Sarah must leave her bubble. Anna refuses to rush, wanting to see real results first. While Mathieu is taking a bath, a major earthquake hits. He rushes out, contacts Sarah over the radio, and finds her bubble still working on backup power. After quickly dressing, he heads outside, where sirens blare and people flee in panic. Some choke on mysterious dust. Then Mathieu sees it, a massive poison gas storm approaching. Without hesitation, Mathieu sprints back home, pulls Anna away from the window, and warns her not to breathe the gas. Realizing they have no choice, they leave Sarah safe in her bubble and rush upstairs to their neighbor's apartment, seeking safety above the mist. They bang on the neighbor's door, and the elderly neighbor opens it for them. They quickly ask for towels to seal the door and block the gas. Mathieu and Anna stay in touch with Sarah through the radio. Together with the neighbors, they are trapped, trying to survive as the toxic mist spreads. They begin to question whether this might be some sort of attack, unsure of the cause of the disaster. Anna uses her app to monitor Sarah's status and discovers that the battery supporting her controlled environment bubble only has about 10 hours of life left. The group hope that the power will be restored before the battery runs out. Mathieu climbs up to the roof of the building, hoping to get a better understanding of the situation. Once there, he surveys the area, seeing the chaos below. Many others are stranded on rooftops, just like them, all looking for safety from the spreading mist. The elderly couple express their growing concern for their son, who is still trapped somewhere on the ground floor where the mist is the thickest and most dangerous. Mathieu tells Anna that the mist has completely engulfed the city and shows no signs of clearing. There's no help in sight, no helicopters, no emergency teams. The situation is worsening by the minute. He reminds Anna that Sarah's bubble battery is running low, making time critical. Meanwhile, the elderly man tries to fix the radio, hoping it will help them contact someone or understand what's happening outside. Still deeply concerned about the worsening situation, Mathieu thinks of going down into the lower floors to reach Sarah. He knows they will eventually need more supplies and resources if they are to survive. As he thinks through the options, Mathieu suddenly remembers Mr. Belkacem, the elderly man who lived downstairs and depended on oxygen tanks. Mathieu makes the decision to breach Mr. Belkacem's apartment and retrieve any oxygen equipment he can find. Holding his breath tightly, Mathieu carefully climbs down and breaks into the building. He quickly finds that Mr. Belkacem has already succumbed to the toxic gas. Wasting no time, Mathieu gathers the oxygen tanks he finds, stuffing them into his bag. He lets Anna know that he's okay, assuring her. He also finds whatever supplies he can find, preparing for the dangerous journey ahead. As he moves through the apartment, he notices a small puppy still alive, seemingly unaffected by the gas, even though an adult dog nearby has not survived. Without hesitation, Mathieu presses on, focused solely on reaching Sarah. He carries food supplies determined to keep her safe. When he finally arrives at her bubble, he places the food inside and connects the battery to recharge her system, ensuring she stays safe for a little longer. Time is running out, but Mathieu remains determined to protect her. Mathieu goes down to the street to gather supplies and meets a convoy of soldiers. They're uncertain about the situation, knowing only that the mist emerged after the earthquake. The soldiers offer him a chance to join them, but Mathieu refuses, deciding to stay with his family. Before leaving, they give him a mask and oxygen tank for him and Anna. As Anna and Sarah are still worrying about Mathieu, he finally returns. He explains that outside is complete chaos, and even the soldiers are lost without clear orders. They are all on foot with no equipment, and now everyone can only rely on themselves. Despite the chaos, they sit together, discussing the growing danger and trying to prepare for the next day. Mathieu expresses his increasing worry as he watches the mist rise higher. He fears that with 2/3 of the population likely dead, public health services and the police are no longer operational, and with no technicians to restore power, society's recovery will be impossible. The weight of the situation sinks in as they consider what lies ahead. Before the night ends, Sarah, understanding the urgency, goes down to check her bubble, replacing the battery to ensure it lasts longer. The next day, they get the radio working. A broadcast from the Interior Ministry advises shelter, sealing openings, and turning off ventilation. As they listen, an explosion echoes in the distance. They climb onto the roof and gaze into the distance. Riots have erupted and smoke rising into the air. The chaos is escalating, and the danger is growing more imminent with each passing moment. They decide to head to Charlotte's place in Morven Hills for safety. They hope Sarah can share her bubble with Charlotte's children, but realize she needs a special suit to leave safely. The suit is only at the lab, so they must risk going there. They meet with Sarah and tell her to contact the elderly couple nearby if she needs anything. As the mist thickens, they decide to get the special suit. Even when Sarah pleads for them to check on No, her friend, they make the hard decision. With time running out, they can't risk it and must focus on getting the suit. On their way to the lab, they are suddenly chased by an aggressive wild dog. In the chaos, Mathieu loses his footing and falls into a river, the strong current sweeping him away before he can regain control. Meanwhile, Anna manages to escape, running into an abandoned bus and trapping the dog inside before quickly getting away. Anna manages to escape, but she and Mathieu get separated. Each heads toward the lab alone, unsure if the other is safe, until they eventually reunite along the way. They search through the lab, moving quickly but cautiously through the dark, abandoned halls, careful not to waste any time. After a tense and exhausting search through several rooms, they finally manage to find a special suit designed for Sarah. But as they escape, a sudden explosion erupts, blasting them with intense heat and a powerful shockwave. Mathieu gets knocked out and Anna quickly grabs a fire extinguisher and manages to put out the flames around them. However, Mathieu's oxygen mask pipe has been damaged. With no other option, they are forced to share the same oxygen supply. They decide to detour first because Mathieu is injured and has lost his oxygen tank, forcing them to head upstairs to escape the mist. Mathieu is slightly injured from the explosion, and after a quick but much-needed break to regain some energy and gather their thoughts, Anna searches the area and finds some basic first aid supplies in the abandoned building. She carefully tends to his wounds, cleaning and bandaging him as best she can, making sure he's stabilized for the journey ahead. Once Anna has finished treating him, they both feel a little more prepared and determined to continue there. Mathieu and Anna check their oxygen tank and realize it's nearly empty. There isn't enough for both of them to reach Sarah. Mathieu insists Anna take the suit to Sarah while he finds another way. Though reluctant, Anna agrees, knowing it's their only chance to help their daughter. Mathieu realizes the only option is to take the risky route across the rooftops. With the mist closing in, it's the fastest way to reach Sarah. Anna heads back towards Sarah with the suit, determined to get it to her. Just as she reaches their home, Anna's oxygen runs out. Struggling to breathe, she uses the last of her strength to climb as quickly as she can. Somehow, she manages to push herself just enough to reach safety. However, as she catches her breath, she notices something devastating. The suit has been badly damaged by the explosion. The whole effort is useless now. As Mathieu climbs the rooftops, he moves carefully, scanning his surroundings. He notices signs that someone is alive and has made a trail, likely leading to safety. He climbs up, following the path with caution. He notices blood trails along the path, leading to a dead body. The sight confirms that someone else had been there recently, but now they're gone. The blood trail heightens Mathieu's awareness, keeping him cautious, as he knows the danger is still very real. However, he spots some resources that he can use, including an oxygen tank, even a gun. As he's preparing to leave, a suspicious guy appears, demanding that Mathieu put on the oxygen tank. Mathieu refuses, and in a split-second decision, he pushes the guy into the mist, knowing it's his only way to stay alive. They fight briefly, but the murderer ultimately succumbs to the mist, unable to survive without oxygen. The scene shifts to Anna, who is speaking with Sarah through the radio, trying to keep her calm. As they talk, Anna notices that the battery in Sarah's bubble is dangerously low and won't last much longer. Realizing how critical the situation is, Anna knows that without immediate action, Sarah's life would be at risk. She makes the difficult decision to go down to the pod herself and replace the battery. Anna fully understands that doing so means she will be exposed to the mist, and she likely won't survive. Still, without hesitation, she chooses to prioritize Sarah's safety over her own. Without any oxygen, Anna is able to change the battery in Sarah's bubble, and with a heavy heart, she says goodbye to her daughter, knowing she might not survive what's coming. Just as Mathieu returns, he hears Sarah screaming for Anna. He rushes upstairs as fast as he can. But by then, it's too late. Anna couldn't make it. The situation has taken a devastating turn. Mathieu delivers the hard message to Sarah, explaining that Anna isn't coming back. Just as Mathieu is planning a new course of action, losing the suit for Sarah and Anna, another earthquake strikes, and this time, he notices the mist rising much faster. He immediately knows he needs to act fast. As Mathieu offers help to the elderly couple, they refuse, insisting that they've lived a good life and this is their home. They seem resigned to their fate, unwilling to leave. Mathieu remembers seeing someone on the street wearing a special suit. Realizing he has no other choice, he decides to go after it for Sarah. Sarah pleads with him, begging him not to take such a dangerous risk, terrified of losing her father too. But Mathieu, understanding there is no time to waste, makes up his mind. He knows he must go. Mathieu locates the truck and retrieves the suit. He spots a functioning moped nearby and decides to toss it to save time. But just as he's about to leave, a kid suddenly runs out in front of him. Mathieu tries to dodge but crashes, unable to avoid the collision. He drags the suit with him, but ultimately exhaustion and the chaos around him make it impossible for him to continue running. As Mathieu struggles to get up, he sees Sarah walking toward him through the mist, completely unaffected by it. His heart leaps with relief as he realizes she is finally free, no longer confined to the bubble. When Mathieu wakes up, he realizes he is no longer outside, he's inside Sarah's bubble. The protective environment that once kept her safe now surrounds him.